weeks ago, I think it was, we had a panel that was debated accountability standards and why do funders each ask for different things. And one of the questions that I was asked was, well, why not use what government uses? And the panel sort of chuckled at the question of, well, have you ever seen what government asks for? Like, it doesn't really ask for anything. And sort of what I took away is the brand of government is broken, right? So the private philanthropy isn't necessarily going to defer to the government as the ultimate standard bearer for nonprofits work or don't work. I wanted to get sort of your reaction as folks on the other side of this to it, and is there any chance that government could be the convening force that says, yeah, this is what works in education reform or youth reform or whatever the case may be, that then other philanthropic entities would align beyond?
I think what we saw on the municipal level in New York is exactly the role government played now in school time. And no one expected it, and they were pissed off by it because there were other privately funded groups that were supposed to be doing that. But it was through the mayor and others that got Wallace to put up a few $1 million, that got all the funders in the room, even if they were there reluctantly, that matched this grant, that sat down and agreed to stuff. I mean, they were the only ones who could lead it because they were the only ones who were putting up $40 million of the purse. And so it was either put up or shut up. You say that you care about after school? All right, Altman, let me see $1 million here. Okay, you care, Wallace? All right, let me see $2 million there. And I think that kind of moxie is not necessarily represented in every administration, but I do think what I love about what America Forward is doing is that they are saying, look, they're bringing the purse, but they're showing the power of the match. And some of those folks are going to come there because there's an enormous amount of peer pressure to be there. And that is going to make a huge difference. So I have no doubt this Office of Social Entrepreneurship could not happen. I mean, we could say we have an Office of Social Entrepreneurship now. It would not have the weight that it would if it was in government. So I just gave a local example, but I think that could also...
Well, but you also just want to say, I mean, one of the things that the OST represented was the convening power, and so it wasn't necessarily like you wrote up a memo and sent it out to the world and said this is the new standard. It was like, let's have a series of convenings that develop some kind of common.
Let's have a series of very brutal meetings.
Yeah.
And no, they were good meetings too, absolutely.
Well,
no, absolutely. There was, I think that the managing of the process and the cost of the process has to come from outside, and we had a private foundation, Wallace, that said, the way I'm going to support this is I'm going to fund process. You fund program, I'll fund process, and I'll get other foundations to help match funding program. And that was the way that it came together. And I think that's really important. It's very hard for government to fund process. You can't show an outcome to process. Where philanthropy can do that very easily. And it's such an important, I call it the critical P in all of this. And that would be so much of like what Kim is saying is the thoughtfulness that has to go behind the shepherding of the process is really going to come from outside of the fund, not exactly in the fund. And that's what's going to make it supported to be successful.